What if I told you the most important scene in a spy movie is the one you barely noticed? Not the car chase, not the villain reveal, not even the final showdown, but a quiet moment, a throwaway line, a scene hidden in plain sight, the kind of moment where, if you miss it, you miss the movie. This is Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, and today we're breaking down the invisible scene that explains the whole spy movie. Hi, this is Dan.
And Tom.
And welcome back to Cracking the Code of Spy Movies. Tom, you and I have watched a lot of spy movies.
Oh, and we've watched most of them many times, and yet we still miss things. That's why we love doing our series of episodes, the 20 Things You Missed in whatever the name of the movie is.
Yeah, those have been popular. So I was thinking about key things that are easy for all of us to miss. And this concept of an invisible scene, the one most of us miss or brush over, came to mind.
Okay, so what do we mean by invisible scene?
Yeah, all right. Well, an invisible scene is this. It's not flashy. It could be simple. It's undramatic, even. Not heavily advertised. That's not in the trailers. You're not going to find them there. It's not remembered as iconic necessarily. You may recall it, but missed its significance. These are scenes that we would think are tangential to the story, but they are the story. Invisible does not mean the scenes are not there. The meaning and significance of them are often missed or elusive or invisible and are often the true meaning of the movie. So, okay, this is a bit of a stretch, but I think when we point out a few examples, we'll all understand what we mean here and see that, well, this might be pretty darn close to saying it explains the true meaning of the movie, or at least a substantial part of it. So we're going to look at this invisible scenes.
So what I'm hearing is when you say elusive or invisible, we're not talking about the big stunt scene.
No.
Or the scene where they're climbing on the Statue of Liberty or something.
No, right.
You're talking about an important scene in the movie, mainly because of the dialogue. But it's not a scene that's going to hit the advertising trailer, but it's key to the movie.
Yeah, it's the kind of scene that filmmakers assume you'll absorb subconsciously. We all watch movies, all kinds of movies. And most movies, including spy movies, will have similar scenes that you'll absorb without really paying attention to it. Almost like subliminal suggestions. Not total, but, you kind of get the idea.
Okay, I think so. So we're not talking about something as obvious as,
"No, I am your father."
From Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. Or the motorcycle cliff jump in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah.
Right? It's the scenes behind these scenes and oftentimes set up these scenes that shape the movie.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the key. If you miss it, you could easily misunderstand everything that comes after. You could miss important nuances and meanings as the plot unfolds. We're not saying the rest of the movie will be a waste or you won't enjoy it or get a lot out of it. We're not saying that. But as we do at the Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, we want you to get more out of every spy movie that we cover. With us, you'll always discover something new. So we're going to dig into this.
So this topic we're covering now, this invisible thing, it's key to getting more out of every movie you watch.
Yes.
And when you start identifying these scenes, you will get more out of the movie.
Yeah, and virtually it's in every movie, but spy movies especially. All right, spy movies depend on information and transferring that information from the characters and the scenes in the movie to the viewer of that movie. So this is part of what makes great movies great, and not so great movies, well, not as good. So
there are some movies that kind of tell you directly. And usually these aren't as suspenseful, enticing, or enigmatic as those that weave the message into the unfolding of the plot through the characters and the scenes. If they come in and boldly just say, boom, here it is, it's generally not as good a movie.
I mean, the good ones, instead of telling you directly, they hide meaning in dialogue. They bury clues in behavior, sometimes very subtle behavior. Look at The Spy in Black. That's a great example of this. And these better movies rely on us, the viewer, to connect all the dots and make sense of each scene. Now, let's be honest. In a spy movie, we, the audience, we're supposed to think like a spy. We can't help doing that. We're anticipating what the characters in the movie will do, what Bond might do, what Thornhill in North by Northwest will do, how they will think and how they will act. That's
Well,
what
yeah, I know.
That's our job.
For me, every
Yeah.
spy movie I watch, I kind of put myself in the shoes of the spy.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we belong. Sure,
Right.
there are other characters we're trying to figure out. And that's what makes interesting movies, well, interesting. They keep
Yeah.
us guessing and second guessing ourselves. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, so let's look at a few examples to help us along here.
I think
So
it's a good
here's
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, here's a simple Bond example. From Casino Royale, 2006, one of our favorite Bond movies. Everyone remembers the parkour chase, the poker game, Vesper Lynd.
I'm going to bet that the parkour chase and the poker game were not what we're talking about in terms of invisibility here. So, what's the invisible scene in Casino Royale that we want to highlight?
Yeah, it's the quiet conversation between Bond and Vesper on the train. Let's break it down. This is when it happens. On the surface, it's flirtation. It appears like many scenes with Bond being flirtatious with women, with clever quips and double entendres, while using his eyes and his body to advance his come-ons. But wow.
Well, yeah, we've seen Bond do this in, almost every movie.
Yeah.
Isn't this scene just more the same? Where's the invisibility and the importance of this scene?
Yeah, well, first of all, Tom, let's point out this is on a train. And trains and spy movies, they kind of go together. You know?
Oh, yeah. You have to have a train in almost every, not all,
So
but
that's-
most spy movies.
So it's kind of perfect. All right, yeah. But it's a beautiful scene. I'm going to explain the invisibility part now. Bond is sitting at a table alone, reviewing the menu, when Vesper Lynd shows up and throws her purse on the seat across from him and sits down. She looks at him and says,
I'm the money.
what a start. Bond, of course, wants to go toe-to-toe with her. And he says,
Every penny of it.
as he looks her over,
Yeah, no, I thought that was the lamest quip in the movie. I mean,
No.
I missed Moneypenny in the movie, and them trying to make this little tie back, I was just like, oh, really?
Oh, no. See, I thought it was great, logical, and a natural response from Bond. So I actually liked it a lot. All right.
Yeah, now in this scene that you're talking about, we have a video we have out where we interviewed Stephen Begg,
Yeah.
who's the visual effects supervisor for a lot of the Bond movies.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we've
he was
got
great.
this scene broken down
Yes.
from the visuals perspective. So it's interesting to see how they put that scene together
Yeah, go check
and
that
what
out.
and what's real and what's not real, what's invisible to your eye. Well, here we're talking about invisibility in the dialogue, but there we've got some invisibility to your eye.
Yeah. All right. Now, in this scene again, here she is now. Vesper, her response to that, she puts her card on the table facing Bond, and it reads Financial Action Task Force, HM Treasury, Vesper Lynd, International Liaison Office, One Horse Guards Road, London, and then some phone numbers. So this is a powerful start for Vesper. Like, boom. Right
Yeah,
in
now
your
one
face.
thing I really liked here is the headquarters of HM Treasury is, in real life, One Horse Guards Road in Westminster, London. I mean, I just love it. They get stuff like that right.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. But underneath the scene unfolding is a genuine psychological dissection going on. When Vesper says to Bond,
When you're good at reading people.
it all begins. The invisible scene is now rolling.
Okay, so we're getting some key background character information here. So I think I'm getting more what you're talking about with this invisibility.
Yeah. And it's going to go deep. Bond goes into all of what he sees in Vesper and her character. Then she unloads, including her quote,
Now, having just met you, I wouldn't go as far as calling you a cold-hearted bastard.
No, of course not.
But it wouldn't be a stretch to imagine.
and then she goes on about his womanizing and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would say she's got Bond nailed in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah. Vesper reads Bond instantly, so she's pretty good. Orphan, emotionally guarded, addicted to proving himself, womanizer. And Bond, well, he pushes back, but she's right. So she says to him,
So as charming as you are, Mr. Bond, I will be keeping my eye on our government's money and off your perfectly formed house.
And as she rises and walks away from the table, this is her exit line. It's like, it's pretty damn good. And as she rises and walks away from the table and out of the train car, look at Bond's face. He knows she is right. She is good. And she had the better of him. But he is pleased with that. This doesn't always happen. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, so let's dive into the importance of this scene then, because like you said, it's a fairly almost innocent scene.
Yeah.
Right? But why is it so important?
This moment explains the entire movie. Because from this point on, Bond isn't just trying to win a mission. He's trying to prove her wrong. And when he fails emotionally, the ending isn't shocking in this movie. It's almost inevitable. And it is all here.
Yeah, so what she just said to him in essence was, you're not in as much control as you think you are.
Yeah, right. And that's the whole movie. And this is big, to know about what she thinks of Bond in the beginning, and therefore throughout this movie. Is he in control? That's our question. And it's all right here in that one scene, this invisible scene.
Okay, so let's take this concept out of the James Bond world for a minute.
Sure.
You mentioned Thornhill at the beginning, so let's talk about Hitchcock's masterpiece, North by Northwest.
One of my favorites.
1959.
Mm-hmm.
So if I ask you, what were the key scenes in North by Northwest?
Yeah.
You'd come up with the crop duster scene. I mean, that's certainly a memorable moment in that movie and in film history, and it definitely influenced From Russia with Love.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, we think of that one. I mean, this was unique. A U.S. national monument playing such a great part in a movie.
Yeah.
Of course, we later see it in other movies like National Treasure, The Book of Secrets. But here in Hitchcock's North by Northwest, it's featured for the first time and definitely not invisible.
No.
And we also have to remember the mistaken identity plot, right? And we've seen this in many Hitchcock spy movies, from The 39 Steps, The Lady Vanishes, Notorious. I mean, more. I mean, we have episodes out on almost all of the Hitchcock spy movies. So go ahead and check those out.
Yeah.
But we would naturally remember these key scenes. They are definitely not invisible. So, Dan, what's the invisible scene here?
Yeah, all those slap you in the face, those big ones. So that's what they're meant for. But here, it's the conversation between Roger Thornhill and Eve Kendall on the train. Yeah.
Gotta have a train.
Another train scene in a spy movie, and the location for our second example of an invisible scene, and a prelude to the one we just covered with Bond and Vesper on a train in Casino Royale. So here we go.
Okay, now we got to be careful here.
Yeah.
We're not saying every train scene between a male spy and beautiful woman is an invisible scene.
No.
You know, just because both of these examples use that trope. But these types of situations are convenient for creating the invisible scene. They can just appear as a transition, and a train is a pretty good place to have one.
That's true. And this scene is remarkably similar to the 2006 Casino Royale scene. Here, Thornhill, played by Cary Grant, is sitting across from Eve. They're in a dining car, and she's played by Eva Marie Saint. And he's reviewing a menu and saying,
Well, here we are again.
And then asks,
Recommend anything?
And she says,
The brook trout.
He says, sold.
All right, so we're on a train, couple talking, they order fish. Where have I seen that before? Oh, yeah, that's right, From Russia with Love.
Yeah, right. Now, here she recommends it. So, all right, we already see who's in control here. When he talks about how he might look familiar, he's got one of those faces that everybody recognizes. He says it's his face that has an effect on people. And she says,
It's a nice face.
to which he says,
You think so?
but her answer here, this is the revealing part of these invisible scenes. Her answer here is,
I wouldn't say it if I didn't.
if she didn't think so. See, it's like, wow. Boom.
All right,
Who is
so-
in control?
So that's 1959. We fast forward Casino Royale. Instead of saying he has a nice face, you're perfectly formed ass.
Yeah, you can get away with it then. Here they wouldn't have.
All right, now this conversation sets up an entire dynamic between these two characters.
There you go.
They talk about how he finds her attractive and how he tries to hide this, as a woman might find it objectionable if she knew he wanted to make love with her. I mean, her response,
Then again, she might not.
I mean, that's a great line. It's like, go ahead, buddy. We're going wherever we want.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a woman, 1959, saying this, and a beautiful woman, obviously. So he hears that, and he says,
Is that a proposition?
and then she says,
I never discuss love on an empty stomach.
it's like, okay, that's pretty racy right there.
Yeah.
But for the record, they originally had a much racier line. And when you examine her saying this in the movie, you can see where they dubbed in the line that we hear. What she said originally was, I never make love on an empty stomach. Whoa!
So in this short scene, we've got yet another thing that the censors wouldn't have liked, right? And it was changed in post-production. They didn't reshoot it, which is why you can see her lips.
The censors did not like it.
Yeah. So Vesper would have gotten that line through in Casino Royale. If she can say perfectly formed ass, she could have definitely said,
Oh,
I
yeah,
never
she would have
make
got
love
away
on
with
an
this.
empty
But
stomach.
59, no. So for everything Thornton says, she has an even better comeback. And she knows all about who he really is and how he is wanted for murder. He is doing all he can to stay afloat with her. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Well, and then I like it. He lights her cigarette and he pulls back the burning match. She grabs his hand, brings it to her mouth, and blows out the match.
Yeah.
What might that have been kind of implying here? It was definitely highly suggestive. And right after the dubbed line. I mean, it's a non-nuanced nuance.
Yeah, and the beauty of that is she took control away from him again. He's in control lighting her cigarette, right? She seizes control back by grabbing his hand and blowing out the match. Wow. All right, so here's what's really happening here. It plays like romance, this whole scene. It certainly looks and sounds that way to us, the viewers. But it's manipulation. Much like Vesper Lynd in the example of Casino Royale we just talked about, Eve here is controlling the interaction, guiding the conversation, and positioning Thornton exactly where she wants him. Their dialogue is rather stunning, especially for 1959. Very suggestive, very sexy, and Thornhill is knocked back a notch, without doubt. So Eve establishes this through guiding the entire conversation.
Okay, so we're talking about this in the Invisible Scene episode.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why is this scene both invisible and why does it matter so much?
Because it tells us a lot about the whole movie. Thornhill is not in control of his own story. And that's the entire movie.
Yeah.
He thinks he's reacting, but he's being moved like a chess piece by a very skilled chess master. I mean, this scene sets us up for the rest of the movie and makes it very clear to us, again, what kind of dynamic is going to happen between these two. It's stunning, actually. It's a beautiful scene.
It is, and I can see what you're talking about with the invisibility.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump to another Daniel Craig James Bond movie, Skyfall.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are multiple scenes around the same point in the movie. Let's call it an invisible scene cluster. And it's all around James Bond failing the training evaluation.
Oh, yeah, right.
Because what you see is Bond struggles physically and psychologically. The physical test at the shooting range, right? His physical evaluation on the treadmill and pull-ups wasn't going well.
That's a great scene.
And then Tanner says,
Can always do this later.
to which Bond replies,
You know what? Let's.
Yeah.
at the shooting range,
Tell
Bond's
him.
aim is off badly. His hands are unsteady. He misses shots he would normally never miss. Bond always hits what he's aiming for.
Yeah.
And this is the first clear sign. Physically, he's not 100%.
Yeah. So here we're all getting this now because then we have the psychological evaluation, the word association test, if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Bond shows hesitation in that whole dialogue. His responses are delayed and emotionally charged. He struggles with words tied to trauma like Skyfall. He doesn't answer when the guy says Skyfall.
Skyfall. Skyfall. Done.
Done. And he gets up and walks out. Whoa. But there were a few other revealing responses, right? When the psychologist says,
Murder.
Bond's answer,
Employment. Country. England.
so we get insight here into his whole psyche. Brilliant.
Oh, there's
scene.
this reminds me too, is in that movie, The Black Bag. There's a great interrogation scene that's kind of done this way, but they're on a lie detector. Lie detector machine. So these kind of scenes can be really important.
Yeah. I mean, this reveals deeper damage, not just physical damage, but mental stuff going on here too. So
Okay, well, there is physical damage too.
Yeah,
We look at the medical results.
Right.
Bond fails in multiple categories. He's declared unfit for duty, yet M reinstates him anyways.
He's Bond. All right, then we see Bond's personal behavior, drinking, isolation. He's seen heavily drinking. He's detached. He's quiet. He's withdrawn. This is Bond? This is an emotional aftermath of being dead and discarded, as we saw in the beginning of the movie, Skyfall. And that's some insight into what being an MI6 agent is. They reveal a lot to us, right? You're a number for a reason.
Well, that's
as an
true.
MI6 agent.
But for me, this is not seemingly a huge cluster of scenes, but it's a small cluster that seems to have some really big importance to the movie.
Yeah.
And why so?
Yeah, this sequence is the invisible scene cluster that explains the entire movie. Bond is aging, injured, psychologically unstable, and no longer the perfect agent. Remember, he's often been referred to as MI6's best agent. So now what?
And so I get that, but to me, I'm not sure how invisible that message is, right? Because it seems like they're hitting us over the head with it. So what does this invisible scene cluster set up for the rest of the movie?
Well, because everything that follows ties back to this scene. His struggle against Silva is not just physical, but it's ideological. His loyalty to M is really almost desperate, not a confident kind of thing. The theme is Bond still relevant? Are MI6 agents, by extension, still relevant? All of that goes throughout the whole movie. Remember M's presentation to the committee quoting Alfred Lord Tennyson's Ulysses after she asked how safe we all feel when they wanted to do away with MI6 as we knew it. Her quote was, "We are not now the strength with which in old days moved earth and heaven. That which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will." And the key line, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. So, again, this theme, all in this scene, goes through the whole movie. So our key insight here is the movie's not about stopping Silva, really. It's about whether Bond and agents like him still work in the modern world, and whether Bond even believes that he does. It's like, okay, that's all there.
All right, and so that idea is quietly introduced right here.
Yes.
It is definitely a major theme in the movie, and these scenes lay it all out for us.
Yeah, it really means Bond is already obsolete. It explains the whole movie. The entire movie's about aging, relevance, and whether Bond still belongs. It's all that. And the theme is quietly established right here. So, yeah, very, very powerful.
Okay, Dan, before we go on, let's do some shout-outs to some of our listeners who've provided us some feedback.
Michael J. Berman gave us some nice feedback. I love the podcast on Why James Bond Could Fail episode. John Moss gave us feedback on 10 more classic non-James Bond movies. And he said, thank you for the curation and the accompanying backgrounds. Great episode. All right, thank you. Randy Hankins, he said about the James Bond superpower, the situational intelligence. He said, cool episode. Brains and brawn win the day for James Bond, not gadgets. Very good episode.
Hey, he listened. He got it.
And he gave us feedback, too, on our 1980s James Bond posters one as well. He said, another fun podcast. Thank you. Great podcast. And at Flags in Focus said, how have I just found you guys? This was a great episode. Again, about the Bond posters, 1980s posters. I bought the Bond movie poster book in the early 90s. It's a magical piece of literature, and you brought it to life. Thank you.
I love it when people find us, let us know they found us. And hey, We got over 360 episodes for you to enjoy.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for the feedback. Keep it coming. We love hearing from our listeners. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We had just covered Skyfall and James Bond aging and all. So,
Okay, I'm getting depressed talking about aging, so let's go to another classic that's going to be depressing as well. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold.
yeah, that is a dark movie in a lot of ways and doesn't make being a spy look so good. No.
Okay, so for me, the invisible scene was when Lemus accepts the mission at the beginning. What we see here, kind of like with Bond, a worn-out agent agreeing to one last job. And this is evident right up front. He's worn out. He could be a relic. That cluster in Skyfall has a similar feel and impact in this movie.
Yeah, really, you look at the scene that we're highlighting here with Lemus, and what it means. It means he already knows it won't end well. You see that already in this scene. And it matters because the entire movie is about inevitability, this moral compromise concept and sacrifice. This scene tells you there's no victory coming. And we know how the movie ends. It ends as it began with this invisible scene.
This invisible scene absolutely nails the story.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. So let's look at another movie, this time The Bourne Identity. We have to at least include one Bourne here. The invisible scene. The invisible scene here is Bourne realizing his own skills in the embassy. And what we see is a very tense escape. And what does this all mean? It means Bourne is not discovering skills. He's uncovering who he was. And so the entire story is identity versus programming. And this is the moment that defines this whole conflict. It's short, it's sweet, it's all there, right here, one scene.
Okay, well, I think this is really more of a cluster like in Skyfall. It's not just that scene. If you think about where this identity versus programming is happening, I think about the scene in the park where he fights the police officers. Or that great diner scene when he tells Marie,
I can tell you the license plate numbers of all 6 cars outside. I can tell you that our waitress is left-handed and the guy sitting up at the counter weighs 215 pounds and knows how to handle himself.
These are all scenes of him discovering who he is.
All right, yeah, all right, I like that. All right, so that's good. And I think, again, it reveals the entire movie. It actually reveals the entire series, which is another thing.
It's an invisible guiding hand.
Yeah. All right, one last one we'll do is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Invisible scene here, Smiley quietly observing at the Christmas party. So what we see, hey, a very subdued gathering. And so what does this gathering mean? The traitor is hiding in plain sight and Smiley senses it. And this invisible scene matters because the movie is about observation, patience, and reading behavior. So this scene is the movie in miniature. Perfect. Again.
Yeah, I agree there. All right, so we've looked at a few scenes from different movies. What pattern can we extract from all of this? It's not always in a train. What do these invisible scenes have in common?
They look casual or ordinary in a lot of ways, in a lot of cases. They feel natural, like, sure, this is part of the story flowing, but they contain truth disguised as conversation or even imagery or events or observation. And usually they reveal one thing: who really has control. These invisible scenes are usually one of 3 types. The reveal scene, a character tells the truth disguised as dialogue. A mirror scene, one character exposes another character kind of thing, or kind of like a setup scene. The entire story is quietly established. And I love number 3, where the whole story is established in one of these invisible scenes. Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so they tend to not be the big in-your-face scenes, which is that why we might miss them? Why do they remain invisible?
Well, we had good training, like Bond. We are trained to look for action, spectacle, big moments. But spy movies reward something else. They reward attention. How many times have we said, You really have to pay attention to this spy movie. A lot, we've said that. And spy movies in particular, since many themes are similar, require greater attention because we know there's going to be a twist and a turn and something we did not expect. At least that's what we're hoping for when we watch spy movies. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if that's in a good movie, then there are movies that don't do that. So I'm thinking about, like, we just reviewed the movie In the Gray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It didn't have many twists that we didn't expect because it was really predictable. So what you're saying is that if a spy movie is good, it'll have these invisible scenes guiding us along, and we just sometimes miss their impact, when, especially the first time we watch a movie.
Yeah. Exactly. We miss them a lot because these scenes often happen early in the movie, most often during dialogue, and we may miss some of that. Or they're between action beats. In other words, we're still pumped up from the action that just happened, maybe, and not focusing enough on the invisible scene that's going to follow it. And also because mostly they're quiet. We ignore them to a large degree, or at least we easily dismiss them or pass over them. So, yeah.
Okay, so we've examined a few scenes here.
Yeah.
And we started this out talking to our audience saying that you want to watch for these scenes. So how do we, as a movie viewer, pay attention to these scenes? How do we spot these scenes?
All right, we have an idea, right? So here's how
Shocking.
to start. Here's how to start spotting these scenes. Of course, we need to focus on the early scenes that might be the invisible ones. Next time you watch a spy movie, ask, who is really in control in this conversation? What truth is being said, but not emphasized? This is hard to do, as the story, in most cases, is yet to unfold. But here, the story is being set up for us in one little nutshell.
Oh, yeah, I like that. It's what moment feels small, but changes everything.
Yeah.
So many of these scenes feel ordinary, as we just said, but they might even feel small or insignificant. We think, oh, they're just trying to feed us some details that they don't have time to really spell out later because of time constraints, so they're going to put it into this nice little scene.
Yeah. But when we catch these invisible scenes, it's like magic. It demonstrates great writing for sure, but also tells us exactly what to expect as the basics of the movie. That is great writing. You will nod your head when you see and understand these scenes, and you will smile. Yeah. And once you start seeing these scenes, you can't ever unsee them. And suddenly, every spy movie becomes deeper. Every character becomes clearer. And every rewatch becomes a discovery. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. Now, you know, at Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, you'll discover something new in every episode. So we're big on this discovery thing, and discovering these invisible scenes is a big one.
Yeah. All right. So here's your mission to anyone listening. Go back and rewatch a spy movie that you love, any one of them, and find the invisible scene.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you a few hints. In Goldfinger, watch Bond observing Goldfinger playing cards with his stooge at the pool. Or in 3 Days of the Condor, how does Turner explain his job? Or Avner's hesitation before his first kill in Munich. Most spy movies have an invisible scene, and we're not going to decode each of those right here today. Watch them when you see the movie.
Yeah.
And your mission, as Dan just said, is to find these scenes.
Yeah. Then tell us through our Facebook page, where we now have almost 30,000 followers.
Wow.
Tell us which movie you watched and what the invisible scene was, and we'll give you a shout out in one of these podcasts. What did you miss the first time? If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to Cracking the Code of Spy Movies, where every episode reveals something new. Thanks for listening and spending part of your day with us. We appreciate it. And remember, in espionage, trust no one except us. All right.
Thanks for listening.